that one day you and I, we will go through difficulties you and I, we never imagined we will go through. I've always thought that teaching to be about war. But I come from a land where there has never been war. That's the only place on earth where people live where there has literally never been war. So I know nothing about war, but I know war inside myself, where I fight with myself, where I stop believing in myself, recognizing myself, accepting myself, and often not loving myself. So I know that war inside me, but outside me, I do not know the war. So I wanted to dedicate that to all of us on earth by praying that as of tomorrow, the sun will start to go down a little bit every day. And in my land, by September come, sun will disappear. And we will not see her again for a long time. My grandmother, about 115 years ago, as an about 10-year-old girl, climbed a big mountain with her family. And I grew up with the story that when she got to this mountain, she could see the earth. And I can imagine that as a 10-year-old girl, that she could see the earth to the beginning of the curvature of the earth, which is 450 kilometers one way. And to every other direction, she could see 450 kilometers, which is about 900 kilometers from north to the south or east to the west. That's a pretty big size of the earth she could see. And you can still do that because the air is different up north. And it's so interesting in her teachings, which tells us that in the morning when sun rises, she is always yellow. Now we know that there are yellow people. And I've been to their land. It's really beautiful people. Then in the south, when sunshine highest upon us, she's always white. And I've been to their country and I met these white people. They're really beautiful people. Then in the west, where the sun set, she's always red. And I've been to hundreds of nations, both in North Pan America and South America and Caribbean. I've been to them. And they are incredibly beautiful. And I'm one of those people. Then at night, it's always black. And then we realize also that there are black people. And I have been to their land. It's stunningly beautiful people. These days, there are massive movements to talk about the black people, the way they've been treated. Massive movements to talk about how we as the native people, original people, have been treated. In Australia, in New Zealand, in Asia, in Europe, how we've been treated. I wanted to dedicate that prayer, as my grandmother says, that the war which comes from within us is the one which will create biggest destruction. And I feel like I'm experiencing that these days because I'm locked up in that coronavirus. I can't really go outside and talk to people that you are so beautiful the way you are, whatever color you come from, whatever language you carry, whatever songs you have. In my prayer, I want to say that I want to look at the yellow, the white, the red, and the black being stunningly beautiful in their differences. stunningly beautiful in the way they are, worth knowing, worth accepting, worth respecting, but most importantly, worth loving. There's a beautiful, beautiful chant our grandmother left us. It talks about coming home. Because in the far north, we have a boat dedicated for the women. We call it Umiya. And the women put in all the equipment, teepees, hunting equipment, children, dogs, old people, and then the women row. And as they row, they will recognize some mountains coming around them. And then they start to chant, and they start to row faster, because they know they're gonna come home very soon. And they go around the bend, and they see the village down there, the winter village. And then they chant louder and row faster. And at the end, they come to the beach of the village and they come home. And our beloved grandmother always said, it's not just coming home to the village, it's coming home to yourself. Because when you come home to yourself, you will recognize yourself as being like everyone else. And I feel like we are failing that in this big world we live in. That this is a chant for coming home. In prayer that the humans will not destroy themselves than they already have. They will begin to recognize each other's stunning beauty in their differences. Oh, 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 ay, 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 oh, how beautiful you are. Oh,
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you for your words. Grandmother Casey Camp from the Ponca Nation. There's so many pictures. I hope you're here. Please come forward and share your wisdom with us. This is someone that we like to sit with for a long time because she also has so much wisdom and it flows. So I know today with having to do it in such a short period may be a challenge, but we thank her. Grandma Casey? So I guess today we're going to learn how to flow with the different kinds of tides inside whatever this is that we're holding together. And I hope we'll just do it with a lot of love and compassion and flexibility and not stress or let our hearts get tangled up in it. So I'm going to call on Erika Unnes. She's our Sami delegate from Sweden. and she has a message and a song. Erika?
Hey, hello everyone, and thank you, Jyoti, for your beautiful introduction. I'm sitting here in the middle of Sweden and experiencing a very warm summer day. And now we have night. It's in the middle of the night here, and it's still light. And we know that light will, as in Greenland, start to decrease. The days get shorter, shorter, and shorter. And today I want to share with you the experience or the feeling of understanding the strong connection to the lands. And I had an experience some years ago where my mother's grandmother came to me, or I suddenly understood I saw the world with her eyes. She lived more than 100 years ago. She was born more than 100 years ago, and she and her family were forced to move from the lands where they were having their reindeers, the lands where she had been living for generations.
Erika? There's someone, if everyone would please mute yourselves. There's a lot of background noise, and I want to make sure everyone can hear you completely. I think that took care of it. So excuse me.
Yeah, is it okay now?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. And my mother's grandmother, she and her family had to move from their lands. They were forced to move and take the reindeers and move many 100 kilometers south from where she had grown up and where she was very strongly connected to the land. And when she moved away, she thought that she lost her connection to the land when she moved to another part of the world, or part of the Sweden she didn't know. And it was like her joy disappeared. And some years ago, I understood that because I was living in another area than I grew up myself, and suddenly I received her glasses, and I saw. So now this happened again. Do you hear me, or is? We had to go with the flow. I continue. We'll see. Some years I realized I saw life through her eyes, or where I was living through her eyes, and I felt that I was disconnected to the lands. And then I just realized, without nobody had told me, that I really needed to ask these lands where I live now if I were welcome here. And I did. And I also asked the people around me, other Sami people asked inside me if I were welcome to stay here. And they also answered inside me, yes. And then I felt very, it gave me some stress relief, and I felt, okay, here I can stay. And today I had a deeper experience of this process, understanding that how it is to be a person who really connects to a small piece of land or a bigger piece of land, and know that I'm here to take care of you, and also have the feeling of when somebody else, it can be a person, it can be a company or somebody else comes across and want to use this land for something else, that was a very strong feeling for me to understand how it is for me as a Sami to be one of these guardians, being here to protect the lands for coming generations. It's a very, very strong feeling to carry it inside. And I just wanted to share that with you and to the world to know that this is something very, it's also something very emotional, because you have, as a person, you can have this very, very, very strong connection to the land. And it can be even deeper than I'm experiencing it. It's important for everyone who hasn't felt or experienced this to maybe have a sense of that it's existing. So I want to also to share a prayer with you. And I also have my friend, Elin here beside me, and we will use also the time for a drumming. And actually my little daughter, she also wanted to be with us, but she couldn't stay up. She fell asleep, so she couldn't stay up. So, but I will just send a prayer to everyone. And I also want to start to thank Jyoti and the Mother Earth Delegation and everyone around us and holding this energy for us today, and also everyone who is involved for making this real. And to start or to continue this press of being together, it's such a big experience for us now today. And I want to send just love to everyone, to every person in need. And I also want to send love and strength and patience to all of us going this way together for unity, for love, for light, for Mother Earth.
Lapita, I think your phone is not muted. Could you please mute your phone? I'm so sorry, Erika. Excuse me. I don't want to interrupt you, but Lapita?
Thank you for your patience. I hope you received something from what I wanted to share with you. Light and blessings from me in Sapmi.
Thank you. And thank you for the drum and the way I know it is a medicine that's touching all these things that want to cause kind of distraction, huh? Just want to, I also want to recognize that, because today is a day of medicine. It's a day when the earth is recognizing things through this solstice that are our distractions, that cloud our minds, that keep us from the heart of your message and the guardianship that you carry with so much sacred heart, huh? So thank you. And Lupit, good. I think we're now muted. Thank you one and all for holding that with us, because it's something we've all got our hands on. It's something we're all going to have to take a part in, or it won't clear and change. And that brings me to my dear sister, Elin. And she also is from the Sami peoples in Sweden. And she comes, I hope you're going to offer your medicine, the yoking.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. And thank you. It's such a blessing that we're all together here. So all dear sisters and brothers from all around Earth. So I will sing you, it's a song and it's a joy for the cold well up in Sapmi. And the well, her water just springs from, she springs from the earth, and she just gives her water flowingly. And it's the best water I know, and it's a really serene place. And the village that both and me and Erika comes from, they started to make their living there because of this cold well and her beauty and her water. And her name is Aya, the cold well. So, Aya dongaldo guturaini chadaiki don.
You're muted, Elin.
Voila.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. But you heard my speaking. You did. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. So Aya. And what's more, we mentioned the grandmothers and the ancestors. And my grandmother, she used to, together with her best friend, they used to stand barefoot in this well. And they were not allowed, but they did it anyway, just to feel the cold of this beautiful water and the fun of play. So let's bring that into our prayer today, the play. So, Aya dongallo guturaini chadaiki dongo gole kol kodamle. Ki tu churches. Gov kumai dunya dada aya. Open muyukat vises vodestar. Open mudot so tufkonale. Vatset alakai. Maina yosutavtu. Tunchache gole koyeti. Noa elono. Elono no nane. No. Elono. So I'm bringing these waters and all these sacred lands into the prayer today, and the water that actually unites us from this well into the big rivers and the seas and the lakes. And she is in the land that I love so much, and it's the land of the Myers, and the Myers wanted to speak a little bit today, and she says, trust your feet and listen to your feet, and they will know where to take you. And I also got the message today that every step is as important as everything. It holds the beauty of everything, every step we take upon the earth. And that every step is the prayer in itself. So that was the message of the Meyer today. And again, I just want to bring in how the earth in the Sami tradition, how it was made from the little reindeer. It was a little reindeer girl. She said, I can become the earth. And so she gave herself to become the new world. And her big horns and her legs and everything became the mountains, and her blood became the waters, and her fur became all the plants and the big forests, and so on. And the sky of her head, where you can see the sun, and where you can see the moon and the stars. And from her also the humans and the animal and all beings came. And then the most precious thing, her heart, was put inside the earth, beating for us. And so listening to that heart and feeling that heart within us, and that heartbeat unites us all over our mother. And that is such a grace, and it's so beautiful, and feeling that the heartbeat of the ancestors are within the ground, telling the stories for us, and we can listen to them and find the guidance from them and bring our prayers and the heartbeat when we become the soil and we become the plants for the coming generations. So that would be my prayer. So Oligito. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Elin. I love when nature sings through you. Thank you. And so that clear washing of us now feels like we're calming, doesn't it? I can feel like the energy is somehow calming itself down. And that brings me the great pleasure to introduce Shauna Bluestar Newcomb. And she's of the Shawnee Lenape, and from Turtle Island. And I can't wait to hear what you might be dropping into us today to seed us and help us grow our unity.
Thank you, Grandma Jyoti. It's very good to be here with all of you. And I'm wondering, can you hear me okay? Good, okay. I just want to say thank you to the presenters for your beautiful words and wisdom, and thank you to Jyoti and all of the delegates that are here for all of your good work and all of those that are tuning in. I just want to say we acknowledge the original peoples of the land wherever you may be in the world. I send bright blessings to all of you, and I know there's a lot of suffering, and I just really want to offer a prayer today that can bring some good feelings of positive energy and uplift your spirit and your heart. So I will share a few messages that I have. I'd like to just say a very short prayer in my Lenape language. I'm very proud to be Shawnee, Lenape, Azteca. Kuhana Gishedamiing Wanishi. Wamawiltekeku and Emilian Wanishi. Piok Indikeshok. Petiohe Kamakana Yushienta. Vita Kamika. Milinen Wilamasawakan. Walatanamawakan. Milinen Weltek Tamakan. Ichi Kaski Igalichi. Pechi Petausen and Yushienta. Vita Kamika. Nanalekesh Wanishi. Thank you. I also feel guided to share a few of these messages that I've been receiving spiritual messages for quite some time about the changes that we are experiencing right now. And I see this time, I feel guided to share that we are in the time of great remembering. That came to me recently, and that the shadows are coming to the light in order to be witnessed and seen. And in order for us to heal, it's important for us to really see and acknowledge that illusion of separation that has been there in so many ways for far too long. And in order for us to really deeply heal, it's time for us to come to this awareness with this deeper compassion and understanding. But I see this time of great remembering is that we're waking up from a sort of amnesia, a deep sleep to the truth of who and what we are and what we used to be and the time that was before. And that was another message that came to me several years ago, is understanding about the time that was before. And that was the specific phrase, specifically referring to our Indigenous ancestors and nations and peoples, and understanding the incredible knowledge and wisdom that has been carried down from time immemorial. So I want to share a little bit about that message that I received, but also just remembering that humanity, all of the peoples of our planet right now, we're all going through a very big time of transition. And it's not easy, and yet it's part of our great healing journey to help us come back to ourselves in a better way and deeper compassion for ourselves as human beings, having a greater love and respect for all beings and each other, and especially for our precious Mother Earth. So I want to share this message that I received. It's called The Time That Was Before. And I also want to share a little bit of a message that I feel is about these times of coming together in a really good way. But this time of remembering is going back to what our great ancestors have known. So it's kind of like a little bit of a story mixed with a message and a prayer. There was a time not too long ago when nature was sacred and our people lived with the land. A time of peace, balance, and harmony. A time of great beauty and wonder and magnificent surroundings. Our people followed the laws of the universe and nature and lived with great reverence for the earth and Mother Nature and all living things. All our people were one with the earth and felt connected with the animals, the trees, and the plants. Our people did not fear nature because it was not so removed from them as it is now. It was part of them. Our people listened to the wind, smelled the air for changes. They were also more in tune with their inner voice and trusted that. They knew about these things that we've since forgotten or what has been taken from us. They had a knowing about things to come or the day. They had a deep understanding of the healing nature of our earth and natural medicine. They listened to the nature spirits and could speak with their spirit helpers or guides for direction. This is not so very strange as it may seem today, for the spirit realm is right among us. This was a time before patriarchy and organized religion and fear-based society. We've lost sight of these old harmonious ways of living, with city lights, many distractions, and greed for material things. These new ways were placed here and forced upon us, and they have made us forget the importance of the original ways. By following the original instructions, we lived simply and abundantly. We lived in tune with the spirits and gave thanks for the magnificent beauty and all life in our world. Our eyes were still sharp and good, and our hearts still pure. A part of us still remembers. A part of our spirit still feels this deep connection to our true culture, our Earth Mother, and the sacred old ways. But it was lost to us, taken from us, and many of our elders even tried to hide it away from us as a way of protecting us from more pain. We must not hold this against them, for they endured and they sacrificed so much for us. Let us be grateful for what they did to survive and that we are still here. Our great and peaceful ancestors sacrificed so much for us to carry on. So many of our beautiful ancestors lost their lives or suffered greatly, and everything was taken from them, yet they persevered and they tried to uphold the sacred loving ways. They did what they could, and let us remember and honor them with deepest reverence and respect. Let us not become bitter about the past, but keep our hearts open to the possibilities of a brighter future. Some of us have felt deep pain and sorrow and empty disconnection, like we don't belong in this modern day culture. This is normal. This is understandable because we are not from this modern culture. We have simply had to learn these modern ways to survive in this world. The good news is we are still here. Those original instructions are still encoded within us in our DNA. Nobody can take that away from us. The old ways are still within us, and many of you sense this. This is a good thing. So let us remember and accept this and celebrate. This is a message of hope and inspiration to say that it is a time for us to remember the time that was before again. Now is the time that our ancient ones spoke of for deep healing, a time of renewal and rejuvenation for our Mother Earth and all peoples. Now is our time. We must remember life as before, when connection with the Mother Earth was part of our daily life and the importance of caring for her in all ways. We listened to the wisdom of our dreams and we carried respect for all living things in our hearts. It's time for great remembering of the truth of who we really are. We are still here, we are still strong, and we are sacred, beautiful people, all of us. It is time for us all to stand together in the great renaissance of our time. A time for us to remember and uphold the sacred old teachings, to bring back balance and restoration to our people and Mother Earth. She is great in great suffering, and all people of the world will continue to suffer if we do not help and make a change. Now is the time for us to bring attention back to the healing. This is a time of peace and balance and working together for the great good of all, to live in a good way again. Let us remember the sacred way of life in our daily work and the great connection and web of life in all of its beauty. And remember to celebrate the uniqueness and beauty of each of our nations and all of the differences. But remember that this is the time we come together for great healing to begin. Our children, our future generations need us to remember, to embrace these old ways and come together for great and lasting change and healing to take place. Let us return to the spirit of reverence in the time that was before and do what we can to heal our planet and all peoples. And I just want to add another part of another message, which I feel is about this time of great change. It says, now once more, people come to this new way of being with lightness in their heart and a sense of renewal. This is when things truly begin to shift. This is when more and more people begin to feel there is something happening, and the messages begin to spread, and more people will begin to wake up to what they felt was missing before. They let go of past angers, hatreds, hurts, and sorrows and begin anew. This is a time of renewal and to celebrate there is indeed a shift. This is a time of coming together and support and community, and people begin to see the error in their ways. This is a truly powerful time. Next, we see that people find it less and less appealing to be in a world of chaos or biting or violence, and their hearts really open up in a new way. This is when things start to shift on a large scale, and people come together to make big changes. There is no tolerance for hate, bigotry, slaughtering, hunting for sport, racism, and all of the isms and ignorant choices that come from fear in the world. Suddenly, there is a new ideal for coming together, not about fighting the separateness. This is a time of deep acceptance for differences and a realization of oneness on a bigger scale. So that's my sharing for today, and I really want to send so many blessings out to all of you, to all of our delegates, all of you watching, all of you tuning in now or later, all around the world. Just send a lot of love, and I see good, bright things as we all come together in the spirit of love. Blessings. Wanishi. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Those messages you're given are so rich, teachings and many layers of them. I always like to sit with them a while before they can sink all the way inside. So I hope all of you will do the same. Each of the delegates is bringing a thread of that into this basket with all the other prayers that have been shared from around the planet today. And that's going to bring us to the next person that I'd like to introduce, which is Randy Laysbad. He's a Oglala Sioux from Turtle Island, and Randy had some trouble getting on, so we're not going to get to see his face, his handsome face today, but he will be on the phone line with us, and he has a prayer and a message. Randy, are you there?
Hello. Hello.
Hi, we can hear you,
Hi.
Randy.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, my name is first of all Randy Laysbad, Oglala Sioux, from Indian Reservation here in South Dakota, Turtle Island. First of all, in Lakota first. Atokahe, Randy Laysbad, Imachapina. Machika later Hokshichala and Lakota, Glali, La Col, Mawani, Eta, Atena Inawaila, Unchichina, Kakalina, Echa, Wong to Makuna, or Kalaallit Egas, Wong to Makuna. First of all, like I said, I thank each and every one of you for listening on my behalf. And I was raised with the language. That was my first language. It came from my mom and dad. My grandma and grandpa, both the parental and the maternal side, and all the other elders for me. The teachings that were passed on to me, I still carry on. So, first of all, I'd like to just on a quick very beautiful. Let's talk about days, covering about 100 miles a day in relay. Once the circle is complete, and with the people's prayer, the creation story that was taught to me by my parents and elders, the creation of the Black Hills. In the beginning, that was those. It used to be just a great vast prairie on animals. When the Creator created the animal, the winged animals, they get in the four-legged. So they knew where the Black looked using the star constellation. So you look up who was to be the dominant species. So at that time, the owl came to and said, he sent a messenger to the four winds and brought a representative from each of the animal nation, the wing, the two-legged, and four. And when they came to the Black Hills area, the vast plain, they marked it. And they started on the southern part of the Black Hills. So they said, oh, all the animals were stomped upon. So one of the part where the legend comes in where it says, so when they crushed some of these animals, they kept racing on the Black Hills. And as they raced and raced, the Black Hills descended. The Mother Earth woke up and said, what's going on up there? So at that time, Mother Earth started raising this rock bluff. And as it rose, the animals looked at this rock bluff, but they still kept racing around the Black Hills. And as soon as it got to where it went, deep in the center of the Black Hills, we had this lava deep in the center of Mother Earth. It woke up too. So they wanted to find out what was going on up in the surface. So it slowly streamed itself through these cracks. And as it came to the surface, it blew. And it basically, what it did was it killed all the animals that was racing around the Black Hills. So to this day, we don't know who basically won the race around the Black Hills. That was one of the stories that was passed on to me, my brothers, my sisters, and we passed that on to my nephews, my nieces, and so on and so forth. So we tried to carry all the traditional values and principles that were passed on to us. And that's the reason why we run around the Black Hills, because it's tied into the Black Hills claim. Back in 1983, when the Black Hills, and further back in 1877, when the Black Hills were taken away from the Great Sioux Nation. So we run around the Black Hills to let the people know that the Black Hills is the center of the earth, and this is where we regain our strength, where we gain our traditional lives and who we are. The most important thing is our identity. identity pinpoints the language. The language basically tells you who you are, what you. So the language, the foundation of teaching, we call it wowahu.
Text him that.
Teach the younger generation. So with that, I like to say a prayer, and I hope that prayer, I'd like you to join me in your own language, in your own way, how you pray, so we can come together and make a prayer to all the indigenous people, not only in the United States, but across the United States and around the world. One of us, we have the same issues, we have the same matter at hand, land issues, mineral rights, and so on and so forth. So as I pray with me, Ashila, Atewa Kantanga, Holech Tarietuki Ushia Wahi in Hoyeche. Chele Tokahe, Wana Koshkalakana, we Koshkalakana, Nolina, Abhogana, Minunki Chabi. Holina Eka, Taku, Yapa Inashipi, Hohe Ucha Hoyeche, Oman Kapi, Na Hoyeche Lenye Chetka to Chawapatita, Owa Kankine, Nawash Aki Kinia Yellow, Cha, He Kudeka Apina, Ushulapo. Na uha pana on kapo pokata ke unta manipile yo yushken zanya uiapike o help ke hoiche na lape to ge hoiche ke koskala kana wi koskala wana man chewa aka chanku papa maka iap khawa hu ize aka iagala skadul ha ien kapitele na chakti washte o ke ha hoiche tukashila na wo Oya, Ahuya, speak Akayo Tanaki. Nija Hina Nim Team Chatunkashila Tanaki with Aki Suya. Roxio Toka, you should come on bed to Yaka. Roxa on bed and Gixia or you Yonki only pick the Rotita and a team and no talk of Yablina and Ohoite Kashila. Now, what did I teach you? How so thank you, please, every one of you, for the stories that I passed on, passed on to me. So for giving me time and with you and whatever, just stand together, because I know we can make a difference once we stand together as indigenous people. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you so much for bringing us such wisdom and for reminding us how we must stand together, and for your prayer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It brings me to Milo, yellow hair. He is also Oglala Sioux from Turtle Island. Milo?
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask Randy first if he will mute his phone for us, please.
Okay.
Thank you so much. All right, Milo.
Hey, it's a beautiful day. Today is in the Western Hemisphere, the longest day. But I'm glad we're doing this today because not only that, we have the new moon in progress. So it's a lot of energy is coming together from this different parts of the universe. And but it was said that a long time ago that if you had something important to say, you do it at the middle of the day when the sun is at its highest point, because that way there is no shadows in your speech or in your talk or in your prayer. And so it's this way that I'm glad that we are doing this at this particular point in time when everything is in balance. The days and the nights are all in balance. Everything in nature and is in balance today. So our prayers should have a lot of energy. And that's the reason I wanted to say that much on that. And also to let you know that we've just come down off the mountain in the northern Black Hills. And while in the prayer circles, we were joined by elk and We were also joined by some chancato, we call them. Those are woodpeckers that came and blessed our sacred tree. We fed the hole where the sacred tree was, and then 4 little girls came, put the food down, put the prayers down, and then we left the hole open. So next year when we come back together, we're going to take a tree and put it in that place. And this type of remembrance, we commit ourselves to another year of prayer, but in solitude, with our own hearts and with our own minds that we're going to pray. And so in this way that next year when we come, not only will we be seeing each other in a good, happy way, but we will also be continuing our prayer. So it's with this in mind, I just wanted to say that much of what we've been doing in the last days, and then also to continue. There is a lot of energy flowing in the hills today. We have meetings going on in Bear Butte. We have meetings going on at what the white man calls the Devil's Tower, but what we call the Great Buffalo Horn. We also have prayers going down in Wind Cave, down in a place where we first saw light as a group of people that came to enjoy this beautiful earth that we are today. So we are not only celebrating our existence today, but also to share in this beautiful way of talking to each other. Unfortunately, we have to rely on technology to do this, but it's something that we can do, and we should pray not only with our hearts and minds, but with our soul, because so many of our old people are starting to leave us, and their knowledge is something that we're going to miss, but their messages we will carry. And back when the pipe of the Lakota people first came, it was brought to us by a woman, and Sami, they call her, white buffalo calf woman. And when she brought this pipe to us, she said, whenever you have a hard time in the future, because she already knew that we are going to have hard times. So she gave us a pipe to pray with, to bless each other with, to say all of these things. But before even carrying the pipe, we have to clean ourselves physically. And this we do it with the sweat lodge. And so we pray with the stone, we pray with the fire, we pray with the winds, we pray the sky and Mother Earth. And these are the things that we're doing. And also to pray with the early morning star, Ampo Wichakpi. And that is something that we have been doing for some time now. But we are continuing those prayers. And in that time, the Sami also gave us songs that we can sing in times of hard times. So this is the reason why I wanted to let you know about what we have been doing, the kind of prayers that we've been making, and the kind of energy that we are trying to foster into the future. But also we want to go ahead and let you know that we are also offering music and song. And I want to say that much on the word, the spoken word, but I also want to leave you with the song. And I want to thank everybody for bringing their energy, and hopefully that we can start that spark into creating a new way of thinking, and a new life, not only for us, but for our future generations. As we say in Lakota, we always do things in the eyes of the 7th generation. And so this is the reason why we are wanting to do this. So thank you very much for everything. And I wanted to leave this song with you. And Jyoti, after I sung the song, you can go ahead and continue on with the rest of the people who are going to pray. And so with that in mind, I'd like to offer this song. Hey ya, hey ya, hey, hey, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey, hey, hey ya, hey ya, hey, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Wakataka Oshimalaya Makakijelo Niwachielo Chanupakile yo ahoye wayelo yo hey 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 Wakataka Oshimalaya Mankakijelo Aniwachielo Chanupakileo Ahoye Wayeloyo Hokahe Mitako Ayase all my relatives Pilamaya Pelo Hokahe.
Thank you, Milo. And the next one that's going to follow yours is that next 7th generation, that one that's bringing a voice from her land of Mexico. She's Otomi-Toltec, Xiye, Bastida. Are you there?
Hello.
There you are.
Yeah, well, thank you everyone for your heartfelt prayers. I feel very blessed to be here with all of you today. And thank you, Jyoti, for inviting me to share this amazing space. I can feel the energy, and every time somebody gives their own prayer, I can feel the alignment in all of our consciousness, which is really an amazing feeling. And I'm sure you all feel the same, because it feels like everything that we're saying kind of complements the larger message, and it brings forward that unification process that I think we're all striving for. So I'm here today to represent the voice of youth, because, you know, in this time, it's very important that we stay connected, because there's, like people have said before, there's a lot of distractions going on. And not only that, but there's a lot of social unrest, but for good causes that we have to fight for. So for those who don't know me, my name is Xiye Bastida. I'm from the Otomi-Toltec Indigenous peoples from the highlands of central Mexico. My dad is also in this call, actually. And my name means rain in Otomi. I am currently based in New York because my parents are working here. But I will be going back to Mexico in about a week to visit my grandparents. And I feel very blessed to be able to listen to my grandparents' stories. Because what I was taught when I was younger is that youth learn from our elders, and that is how the circle of knowledge keeps going. And that's how we keep reminding ourselves that the circle of life is not about age, but it's really about learning and growing. And when I teach my grandmother something, it feels so amazing to see that we can still teach each other regardless of how long we've been on this earth. And recently I've been working for the past year in the youth climate justice movement. So born and raised Indigenous, obviously there's a very deep connection with Mother Earth that I've seen a lot of you express here as well. And for me, what really got me involved in climate justice work was seeing the disrespect towards Mother Earth. The fact that there's people who are actually hurting, polluting, contaminating, drilling. That for me was heartbreaking. And I couldn't believe that that was going on. And most importantly, I realized that I could change that, or I could help change that. So that's why I became a climate activist, because when we see injustice, we cannot just stay silent, we cannot just stay sitting down. And I think that because I was so young when I realized you cannot tell a child not to follow what they think is right. And gratefully, my parents have always been really supportive, which I think is a big reason as to why I was able to start organizing and start immersing myself in climate justice work. So I've organized the climate strikes in New York. For the September 20th climate strike, we got 300,000 people to strike here, and there were around 7.6 million people around the world who went on strike for climate. And of course, that's just one way in which all of us come together to show our solidarity. And this is another way, for example, in this call, sharing prayers and sharing visions and sharing knowledge. And most recently, I started an organization called Re-Earth Initiative. That is an organization of youth from around the world. And we are focusing on climate justice work from a more international level, because most of the youth organizations that we have present are either from Europe or the US, and there's no real international representation. So that's something that we are working on. And the reason why it's called Re-Earth Initiative is because the theme of we have to reconnect, we have to rethink, we have to reimagine what the future can look like. Because I believe that our mindset is very, very important when looking at the future. If we think by 2050, the world is going to be underwater and burning, that's what's going to happen. But if we have a more positive mindset of we are actually going to be able to bring the justice that we want, to bring the balance that we want, then that's what's going to happen. So I want to thank all of you, because when I hear other people who are grounded, other people who are centered, it gives me hope to keep spreading the message within my community. And to see that this is such an international platform also gives me great hope. So I just want to end this little prayer. I just want to thank everybody for your presence. Thank everybody for your pure hearts. And just to acknowledge that our mission in life here is for our consciousness to rise. And it's not about our individual consciousness, it's about our collective consciousness. Because when our collective consciousness rises, that's when we mature as a species. And we mature along with Mother Earth. So, kamarima kikmu, kamarima kata. I wanna just appreciate everybody here, because all of your times, all the time that you allot to your own causes and the cause of humanity is what's keeping this planet beautiful and going for as long as it can, until we actually achieve balance and until we finally achieve peace. Because as somebody once told me, peace is inevitable, but we have to put in the work, because nothing comes for granted. So thank you so much, Jyoti, for inviting me, for holding the space. And I will stay here until the prayers end, because it's really, really beautiful. Thank you.
No, my grandma heart is overflowing right now. And this is why, because your wisdom and those that you're walking with that are coming behind us, with that kind of wisdom, I'm going to walk as hard and long as I can to try to clear the way. Thank you very much for coming. And now we're going to move to Australia, to Jarmbi. And he's the original custodian there. And he's sitting by our fire. We like to have him sit there when we have these delegation circles, because Grandpa Fire helps us stay clear and is listening to everything we're saying today. Take it into the belly of the Mother Earth, where her fire dwells as well, and reach it up into the Star Nation. So Jarmbi.
Well, I hope you heard some of that. Hasn't been too good lately with the Zoom links and didgeridoos and all that. So yeah, Jingiwala we say here, Jingiwala. So it means we welcome you. So here I'm in Byron Bay, Cavanbar. It's the most easterly point of Australia. We call it First Light. This is the place in Australia where the sunlight touches first. It's a very sacred, strong area, strong land. Energy here is naturally boosted for ceremony and healing. So we feel it's very important, of course, to set fire here, to set intention here. It goes everywhere. Just like, yeah, I'm always grateful to be able to join everybody here and represent my people and my country, but mostly represent the earth. I feel personally my role in the future, and as we walk into these times and beyond, is to be as clear a channel as I can for the earth, mostly using my connection to the ocean to do that. That's this is the first time I've worn this ochre, these paint, this earth for these calls, and it's I just found it the other day. I came across it. I've been sort of putting it out there, and yeah, with Eleonora walking along the beach, and we came across a patch of ochre that had been uncovered by the recent tides. So it was very, very amazing actually, because I'd seen this patch of beach washed out before, and there'd never been any ochre there until now. There's this beautiful white clay there, full of minerals, full of all the good stuff. So it's the first time that the ocean actually gave me some ochre to use and to represent with, and that's when we put this ochre on it. We're representing the land that it is. So a very good reminder to stay very connected to that power source, that to Mother Earth, no matter what happens, and to be that the golden thread, to be the voice of that connection into the future. So yeah, much blessings. Yoruba Webera, that's sacred fire in my language. So from this sacred fire in this land, you can see behind me is actually a tea tree swamp, tea tree forest that's in Byron Bay, and it's a very sacred area. They've managed to look after it from development and all that. And you can definitely feel the ancestors roaming around in there. And so yeah, if you look closely enough, you might even see a few. But yeah, they're definitely here. So probably not going to say too much more. Thank you very much, and I feel you all. And yeah, it's going to be a bit of a hug fest by the time we all get together in Sweden, isn't it? So let's yeah, at least we won't have to talk to each other. It'll all be said and done.
Thank you, Jarmbi.
Thank you. Much love. Bogum Nawalo. My love to you.
And our love to you. And I think it's very wonderful that we can kind of end this part of the prayers today. When they started by when the light touched there in Australia, and now we're going to get to close this and flow into the world stage soon. So thank you. So our last delegate to talk today and to share his offerings for you is Mindahi. His daughter has already introduced him, and she said it in such a beautiful way that Mindahi, I'll let it be that way. And I know you have something of your own to share, and I also know that you've brought us a message from Mamo Manuel. So welcome, my brother.
Dikamadi Wada, Dikamadi Ku, Dikmewa, Shode Kwada Hinka Bipe, Efi. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world. Especially greetings for Father Sky and Mother Earth, and with the permission of the 4 directions and the 4 elements, and with the hearing of beautiful birds around. Now I'm bringing a message from the Mayan land, from here, from the Yucatan Peninsula, where the Mayan and the Toltec peoples flourished. And that we are in these territories, sacred territories, sacred cenotes, sinkholes, very near the place where the meteorite hit Mother Earth some time ago. And then life was reborn, and some of our relatives were gone. But we remember that we are the reflection of those ancestors. We remember that we are here for the purpose of taking care of life. Mother Earth is always speaking. But somehow, like 5,000 years ago, more or less, there were people, some cultures that began to go into another direction. How come did it happen? How come they forgot the original instructions and they began to take over instead of taking care, instead of giving care? So the 4 directions tells us about the 4 elements, the sacred elements of life. The waters are everywhere in the universe. The waters are even in the minerals. We cannot see, but the water is there. As we cannot see many tiny beings, but they are around. And the spirit is around, we can feel. So the primordial waters gave us this chance. So life could be flourish. And these waters also are bringing intelligence and wisdom. So the sacred fire, because the sacred fire is in our bodies, is in the plants, is in the other animals. And this fire is sacred everywhere. And it's a responsibility to listen to the grandpa fire. And it's reflected through the sun and it's reflected in Mother Earth womb. It's reflected in our hearts, in our blood, and Mother Earth's blood as well. And the wind, the air, is telling us something during these days. It's telling us that the dawn is here. And this is the air that is among the earth and the oceans. And this air is telling us through the songs of the birds and the beating of the drums that we need to stand up with Mother Earth. Mother Earth is crying because of this misbehavior as human beings. And this is very, very sad that we have forgotten our responsibilities. But we as indigenous peoples around the world, we are still keeping some of those teachings. But even in the communities, we are suffering around this because young generations don't want to listen, most of them. But this is the time to bring together ancestral wisdom, and we have the chance. During this systemic crisis, during this crisis that is killing life, we have the big chance to change our thoughts, because now the wind is telling us, think beautifully. Of course, we know it's difficult, but it's possible. Mother Earth is crying, but also we are crying. Every time mining companies, logging companies, biotechnological companies are taking over in our territories, and especially in sacred places, we are sad. Some companies and some governments are killing our water protectors, or energy protectors, or sacred protectors. So Mother Earth is telling us now that we must stand together in unity. Come together that there is no borders. There is one world. There is one unity. And this is the message that we are receiving to stand up with Mother Earth. So the four elements of life, they are in us, and we are in those elements of life. Brothers, we are going to begin, and we have begun praying for strength so this colonization process ends. And this imposition of religions that are killing us, the imposition of beliefs that are alien to us, are killing Mother Earth as well. So we are here to spread the world and spread the ancestral wisdom because it is in us. And the message is that we are not the peak of the creation. We are just another one, another being, and our relatives are around everywhere. So our mission as human beings, just as beings, is the care of life. And this is the time. The prophecy is telling us that not just the condor and the eagle are coming together, but also the east and the west, the dragon and the phoenix, because they are the representation of the four corners at the center. And this is about Earth's mandate. Unity in the diversity. Unity as the only possibility to make it possible life for the present and for the future. We are in this cleansing of 13 years, of course, that began in 2013 and is going to end in 2026. But it doesn't mean that it's going to finish the cleansing. It's just the most difficult years, this cleansing. And we are witnessing, not just around the pandemic, but we are witnessing this cleansing through the four elements, through floods, through fires, earthquakes, and through message from the Father, Son, that it is about time. It is about time to come together and to mend the hoop between elders and the youth generations. Brothers and sisters, now, thank you so much for this, for allowing me to give this message. And I'm going just to give this last message from Mamo Manuel from the Kogi peoples. He said that ever since the beginning, we were created from the beginning of the times, at the very beginning. And the mandate from Mother Earth was to take care for life, take care about Mother Earth. That's the instruction. And now there is a confusion around the world because there's people who see the rocks and the minerals as resources and the nature as resource. And they are not resources, they are sacred. The Kogi says that whenever you want to cut down a tree, you need to consult. You need to carry out research, especially those trees that are 100 years old. You need to go and ask if it is good or not. If you don't have permission, you cannot do it because they are sacred. And they are watching us, he says. They are our authorities, he says. And whenever you want to move a rock, for some people, the rock is not alive. But for the Kogis and for us, yes, they are alive. They are also people. So the message that he's saying is that we need to pay, make payments, make offerings to Mother Earth because we have big debts. And it's not just all humans, but the hermanos menores, the younger brothers, they have more debts than the indigenous peoples. Because indigenous peoples like the Kogi, they make payments every day for what you eat, for what you drink, for what you dress, and that's beautiful. So this message from Mamo Manuel is saying that we need to recover our dignity as human beings, our peace, but peace is not doing nothing, it's doing a lot of work. So he sends regards and his blessings to this delegation, to the Mother Earth delegation, but also to the Unity Week, because we are together in these times. And this time is not just human time. This time is in the diversity, in the flourishing diversity. Unity in the diversity is all about what we need to encounter. Brothers and sisters, thank you very much for listening to these words. I'm from the ocean, from the Caribbean Sea, and from the peninsula, Mayan Peninsula. Be blessed and be happy. Kamadi Moshingintini, thank you very much.
Oh. Thank you, Mindahi. And thank you for bringing Mamo Manuel's message. I know he can't come out of territory right now. I'm hoping he's staying safe, and I'm holding prayers for the fire that happened in his village. And now it's time for all of us to flow. They're dinging me, as you just heard, because, and thank you, I think John has put up here for all the ones that are on the call, you can just push this link he's got for us, and it's gonna bring us to the next room on the world stage. So now we take this basket that has gathered its prayers all day long as as the sun went across and loved our Mother Earth and brought light into all of our lives and warmed us and joined our fires and mixed all of this together with all the blessings of all of the beautiful traditional ways of those original principles, so that we could move, as Mindahi has just said, into a place where we're now going to the world stage to embrace our diversity and stand firmly, all committed. So when we go to that world stage, let's just start to really anchor down and hold the presence of unity. We need to be what we've been praying for. And I'll see all of you, I hope, on July the 18th, where the delegation will be coming to bring more of their messages to you. We are with you. We are walking beside you. We are in a circle, lifting this up. Have a beautiful time, and I'll see you on the world stage.